Hey guys, what's going on? It's me, Mega Sasuke, and welcome back to another British Faction strategy gameplay episode. Man, it's been a while since I've done one of these, so please bear with me. Just a quick disclaimer before the video gets started. Obviously, I've been playing this game for a very long time, so my micro is going to be very, very poor. If anything, I'm just using the mouse and the arrow keys to direct my movements. I apologize in advance for anyone who's expecting pro level gameplay. I haven't used hotkeys for a very long time, so that's just my disclaimer. That gets that out of the way. But today, guys, we're doing something completely different from what we're used to doing. You guys are used to seeing me use the Advanced Emplacement Regiment Commander. Today, guys, we're going to be using the Royal Artillery Regiment Commander. Now, why a different commander? Well, it was brought to my attention from one of my recent comments, actually, that the strategy that I was using, or as good as it is and as useful as it is in multiplayer, doesn't really showcase a more aggressive style of play. For example, if you lose the early game, or if you want to seize the early game but you can't using the Advanced Regiment Commander, then how do you win the game? How do you start the game off? You know, you don't have the early game, you can pretty much lose mid to late. So that's kind of the reason why I wanted to change it up and try all sorts of commanders. That's the backstory behind why I'm changing up and showing you different strategies. But also because I want to showcase other commanders. I think it's important, as any sort of faction main, is to know more than just one commander. And I think this is a good way to showcase this particular commander's ability. And who knows, in the future I may even show all of them. I might make a series out of this, a commander focus series, where I do 1v1s with every single commander on the British faction team. But yeah, if you guys would like to see that sort of stuff, let me know in the comments below. You know, what do you guys tell me you guys want to see? Or if you don't want to see, then that helps me decide what sort of videos I make in the future. But a lot of people do like these more relaxed sort of casual sort of explanations. So yeah, by all means, guys, please let me know. It helps me a lot with my content, and I put out content that you guys want to watch. So yeah, just let me know. So I'm just going to be giving kind of like a little overview of what I'm doing as this game progresses, my thought process, the strategy I was trying to implement, and yeah, just on the fly sort of play. As you guys can tell, I've changed it up quite significantly to my usual build order. Not significantly, obviously got one rifle squad, one machine gun, but instead of getting a second rifle squad, I opted for a universal carrier. Now, why get a universal carrier, you may ask? I don't know. Some of you might have had bad experiences in the past, but for me personally, I think with this build, or this particular commander, I was going for more of a mobile, aggressive sort of build. And I needed a ability, or a vehicle, sorry, to provide flanking support in the early game, to harass the enemy, to kind of push them, force them to move off locations. Now, there is a risk to using a universal carrier in the early game. The risk is, of course, that if the enemy has Panzerfausts, for example, their Grenadiers, or anything like that, they can hard counter a universal carrier very early on. And you're generally fine. That's on multiplayer online game. Okay, but these are AI, so they're not nearly as thought out or as human as we'd like them to be, really. It'd be nice if this game could emulate a human sort of strategy and like keep up to date with current metas. That'd be pretty cool, but that's asking too much. It's a very old game as well. This game's been out for a very long time, so I'm surprised they haven't even thought about a Comedy Heroes 3, or if they have thought about it, why they haven't released any news about it. It's kind of sad, really. This game is amazing, and I'll continue to play it. But yeah, it'd be nice if they announced something like that. Anyways, I'm going off a bit of a tangent then. Back to the gameplay. As you can see, we're getting flanked by engineers. It's pretty common, the thing to do on the AI. So we're getting more engineers instead of rifle squads. So now this is something that's unique, especially to other commanders, that you don't get with the advanced emplacement, is that you have to use engineers. Okay, they're very useful, and they provide a lot of utility throughout the game. And even if you're using the Advanced Emplacement Regiment, you still could use engineers. It's just less viable because you're going for more of a hard infantry defensive strategy. But I'm just getting ahead with my universal carrier. Engineers capture point. I'm going to build, well, I'd like to build another machine gun unit. As you'll see soon, I'll put it over to the left-hand side near the star point. But right now, just in an engagement, the good thing about placing machine guns on the star point is this, like it stops AI or just anyone from capping points. There is a bit of danger involved with that, and I'm going to keep referring to online multiplayer games because I think that's the most important thing to talk about, because obviously the AI doesn't act like a human online. But if you do the things that I'm doing, where you put a machine gun right in the middle of the map, like a building, the enemy's going to know, okay? They're going to predict that you're going to put a machine gun unit there, and they're going to mortar it. So usually on an online multiplayer game, you try to be a bit more conservative. You wouldn't put it in the building, you put it just deep of the building, in an unusual spot they wouldn't pre-fire mortars into, for example. But since we're versing AI, I'm not too concerned about that, just for you guys to be warned in the future, whenever you guys decide that you're going to use this kind of strategy on an online multiplayer game. Just be aware. Just be aware. If they do, just get ready to retreat your units out of those buildings, okay? That's all I have to say, really. Alright, so we capped 2 star points, so moving infantry back to take the munitions point. We're going to be producing another machine gun unit, as I said before, to place in that building. I think we're going to get armoured cars. I think we're producing one right now. I'm not entirely sure. We do have a universal carrier still roaming about. We clicked the Wasp, but we end up going for the Vickers. I think my reasoning behind that was, one, because I thought that this would be good against light vehicles, which turns out it wasn't very good against light vehicles, as I later discovered. We probably should have stuck with the Wasp, but also because, I don't know, I just wanted to change it up. I always go the Wasp flamethrower on the universal carrier, but that was my mistake. I probably should have just stuck with my usual strategy and gone the flamethrower. But now we got 2 machine gun units, another unorthodox method to what I'm used to doing, but this is a 1v1 situation. You need more than one machine gun to hold down a star point, especially if you're not going to place bofers. I don't use bofers in this video at all, which is quite surprising. You know, it's a very unique thing that I do, and I know a lot of British players don't usually do, but I find utility in them with advanced placement. These guys, not so much. I'm going for more of a mechanized, aggressive approach, counter recapturing sort of approach. So counter recapturing, what the fuck does that mean? Counter attacking sort of approach. Counter recapture, what's wrong with me? Sorry, I'm getting muddled up with my words. Here we are, just thinking about placing this entrenchment. Obviously my thought process is that a machine gun's not going to cover all arcs. I need some sort of secondary arcs for a rifle squad or an engineer squad to bunker down in. Engineers are going to be building some barbed wire. We're using engineers finally for what their intended purposes are, is to funnel enemies through choke points or funnel points. This is extremely useful and very highly I can't even word. How would I even use that word? Has a lot of utility to it. Sorry guys, it's very early in the morning. I am still waking up. Apologize. It's about like 8:30 in the morning, which isn't very early, but when you have a lot of late nights editing videos, you gotta sleep late. But okay, as we can see, we're getting pushed by a large infantry section. We've got machine guns, engineers with flamethrowers, and another unit of, I believe, engineers pushing this. My Royal Engineers. As you can see though, the flames aren't doing a hell of a lot of damage against them. In fact, it's doing barely anything. I think that's due to the fact of our machine gunner pinning them down, stopping them from being as effective. But before, they took like no damage, and our Royal Engineers end up coming on top of that fight. We do need to get around this machine guns, and perfect timing for that armored car to be spawned in. We're producing that armored car very, very early on in the game. I wouldn't say very early on, we've just got a lot of manpower, so we've been playing this for a little while. It's been 8 minutes, so we're almost hit the 10-minute mark, where it's almost transitions into the mid-game. But infantry getting attacked, I'm not too concerned. We're not taking any damage from that range, because they're using MP40s, which are a very short-range sort of gun, and at that range they can't really defeat a rifle squad. Armored car pushing in from the flank, taking out the machine gun. Machine gun is treating, we decide to follow it up. We want to try to eliminate it out of the game entirely, but I don't think we end up doing that. I think we end up just pushing into the base just for shits and gigs later. But we're just going to get it on enfilade sort of area. Universal Carrier taking some damage. We tried to hit it with the Vickers, but the Vickers does nothing. I don't know what's happened since an update. This thing used to be very effective at taking out half tracks, but apparently not. We got an armored car pushing up. We're going to use that to take out the half track. We really don't want them to use it as a forward spawning location. Engineers building more barbed wire. Getting pushed by an SDKZ. I probably should have seen that coming. Moving the armored car back to support the engineers. And as we produce another armored car at base, we're going to try to keep it on the flank, because we realize that one armor car is not enough to reach everything all at once. And as we just saw then, the game is having pathway problems and is jerking the tank back and forth. This happens again, I believe, right here. Ready, watch this. And jerk. Man, this game is literally, I don't even know. It's old, it's an old game, guys, so I'm not going to like rap on it. It's completely rag on it. Rap. What the fuck? Can't even word. But yeah, it's a problem that's been in this game for a very long time. Is that jerking response? Man, so frustrating. Anyway, we won those fights. We killed the SDKZ. We killed the half track. That's a huge blow to any enemy team. I mean, this is why the armored car is so beautiful, and I kick myself for not using it in the past a lot more frequently. It's definitely a more aggressive vehicle and a very cost-effective way of dealing damage to light to medium vehicles. You can pretty much win any fight against a light vehicle, unless it's a looks tank, or maybe I'm trying to think of another tank that'd be able to take it out in a light sort of area. SDKZ does a little bit of damage, but it's more of a HE sort of splash damage gun on the SDKZ. But yeah. In any case, we actually get pinned, I believe. We're getting our engineers, we're going to heal them up, get a weapons rack, and then push them back up to heal vehicles. We actually get pinned by that machine gun. I saw it before as I was driving through there, but for some reason I kind of just misclicked or something and just clicked them on the point. I wasn't really thinking about that, but we're going to use that armored car to clear it out. I believe that we have our other armored car in position. We're going to use that as a kind of a covering emergency vehicle just in case something pops up. Pushing infantry back to build sandbag walls for our anti-tank gun that is pushing up the field. Using engineers to repair our universal carrier. We need to get that up and running and ready for combat again to help support our armored car. Alright, this machine gun unit is in a very good location. I'm very impressed by the angle they chose to use to attack me. But as you can see, the armored car is not going to be sitting there. It is able to move up at a very fast pace and take out that machine gun unit. Very, very, very effective vehicle, if I do say so. Okay, here we go. This is a bit funny. I just decided to push it in base. I'm like, you know what? Let's just see how much damage we can do in base before we get pummeled by the enemy, you know, whatever it may be, anti-tank gun, vehicle, whatever. We go for the motor pool to kind of stop them from producing new vehicles. Pushing our armor car up, just kind of scouting ahead, making sure no one's flanking or coming around to push the star point. Infantry decide to keep building and move that anti-tank gun up. There's a bit of pathway troubles here, a bit of confusion between the two units. Oh, and they got Panzerschreck units. I see that, I freak out. Lucky timing, I saw that. We actually end up surviving this. We pop smoke to retreat the vehicle, which is a beautiful ability, mind you. That is an amazing... That could save your vehicle's life in almost, I'm going to say like 80% of battles, depending on how many units are pushing it. But yeah, we save that vehicle, and we get it repaired, and it's going to be back in the fight again. Whew. Lucky save, and very lucky that I was looking in that area before it got blown up. If I just waited like a couple seconds longer, I think it would have been gone. Infantry retreated back. We're going to get them some equipment, Piat, and a Bren gun. As per usual, nothing really changes there. We're going to get a medic kit to heal themselves in combat, or out of combat. Rifle squad. We're going to build more sandbag walls, I believe. We're going to go for, yeah, kind of like a flanking sandbag wall, just in case enemies push from the flanks. Alrighty, so we got a machine gun unit still covering us. It's a very, very effective machine gun unit. Again, guys, in any sort of online multiplayer situation, you wouldn't have this luxury of slow building and building sandbags and barbed wire and all that kind of crap. In fact, you probably have no engineers to build it with because the enemy would probably go for them straight away. It's a very, it's not a very accurate representation of online game, but I wasn't really going for a realistic sort of approach with this. I just wanted to show this commander. As you see, Universal Carrier pushing up, trying to support this infantry. We pushed the infantry up a little bit too far. I don't know what was going on there. I think we decided to just catch people trying to leave spawn, and try to like funnel them out and whittle them down. Keep them preoccupied as we gather resources and continue to improve our resource supply. We're getting hit by panzers. Okay, this is a very tough situation. It takes 2 panzer shots and it's still not dead yet. This is the beautiful thing about the armored car. Despite it being a light vehicle, so to speak, it's a weird hybrid. It's like a light and medium hybrid. It is a car, but it's not quite a tank. But as you saw, it took 2 Panzer IV shots, which is very impressive. And it's given us enough time to retreat because of the speed of the vehicle to retreat out of combat and get repaired. Very, very useful vehicle. We end up upgrading the company command post. I think we really want that heavy engineer ability from the Anvil Tactics tab. We really want to get that because we really want to repair faster and help support our mechanized troops a lot more quicker. Infantry still building those sandbags. I see this green thing. I don't know what it is, so I just decided to like reverse out of it. Kind of a little bit worried about what that is. I have no idea what it is. I think it's just scout plane. Prioritizing vehicles. Okay, we've got anti-tank gun on the position. This is why it's so important by mid-game, by the 10-minute mark, to produce an anti-tank gun, because this can happen. You don't know what could happen. The tank could come out of nowhere. But at least you have a static defense AT gun, which can take out medium to heavy tanks. Okay, very important to get that out. Infantry going to start pushing. We're going to need the armored car to support that infantry in the push. We've got 2 engineers. They're going to help build more defenses around the area. Forward assembly going down. We're going to use that as our forward retreat point, I believe. We need that short respawn time. Car pushing through. We're going to get them on the flanks, pinning down these Panzer Grenadiers. The car, we're going to get healed by these other engineers. We're just going to keep it on the right side because we need that protection from the right. You never know what could come out of there. And we're going to go for the point there. We need to capture it, stop them from taking it. So we're going to clear these guys off the position. Again, a good strategy using infantry in unison with the vehicles. They could reach the building before us, but they decided not to. And I'm very confused by that decision by the AI to do that. I guess they decided it wasn't really in their best interest, but I'm confused as to why that wouldn't be in their best interest. Again, we have a rifle squad on the right-hand side. We're not paying too much attention to it, even though we should be trying to use it to cap points and like build those munitions caches. Okay, we're getting hit by a vehicle, a Sturm, I think. Pop smoke. We're going to use the smoke as cover, or as concealment rather. In any online play, again, the computer. Sorry, excuse me. Repeat that. The player would just blind fire into the smoke and try hope for lucky shots. But for some reason, it's not. The AI is getting completely outturned. The turning speed of that Stug is ridiculously slow, and we have 2 armored cars firing on it. We have this armored car taking 1 shot damage. We're going to keep turning it around, going for flank shots, re-armor hits, so on and so forth. And we're going to quite easily take it that Stug with no trouble at all. Very stupid decision by the AI, if I must say so myself. Pushing the armored cars up to support each other. We're going to need some engineers on them ASAP. I think that's what we end up doing. We end up dragging the engineers down to repair them. So now that we do have that, we're going to get the Anvil Tactics specialization, obviously. We're going to use that to upgrade our engineers to heavy engineers, quicker repair time, so on and so forth. Cars pulled up. We're going to try to reverse them back in more safer areas. Not going to be too aggressive with them. I think that was just a misclick actually when those 2 tanks pushed up. For some reason the AI is having troubles pathwaying, as you can see there. I don't know what was going on, so I decided to bring it back to where I originally had it. Again, this game does not fail to struggle with vehicle pathwaying, clipping through each other and all kinds of good stuff. But yeah, so far we've won the early game. We're by a substantial margin lead. We're over halfway in the lead actually. And this is where the game starts to get a little bit more challenging. Not so much in terms of like skill, but more so like unit production. we have access to a lot of vehicles, but we don't have the fuel to produce, which is what we're going to be trying to focus on soon, is building those fuel caches. But for now, all it is recapturing points and repairing vehicles. That's our priority. Okay, one vehicle getting on that. We got a Panzer IV up here. We're going to try to take it out. I believe we're going to use our first ability, our first artillery ability, just to stop infantry or whatever is going to come up and push. I think we do end up losing a vehicle. I think we trade. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, we do. We trade shots there. We lose our first armored car of the game. And I'm not going to lie, I'm slightly disappointed, but I'm not entirely disappointed with that. I think that was a very good play. You know, you're trading an armored car for a Panzer IV, like, you can't complain really. That's a pretty decent trade. We still got one on the field, relatively cheap. We can reproduce another one. I think we end up doing that later on in the game. But for now, we end up just holding the one. But I think we're looking for something we could use. Unfortunately, that artillery ability, takes up a lot of munitions. We don't want to continuously rely on that. We want to produce a Sexton artillery half-track tank thing. Decided to put mortars. We decided not to put mortars because we think that, yeah, it's probably a waste of manpower. Even though we've got a shit ton of manpower, we don't want to waste population cap, especially if you want to get those artillery guns later on. Figuring out where to put barbed wire. I think we just end up continuing this barbed wire funnel. I'm not entirely sure what's going on. Oh, we're getting combat. That's right. Okay, so we're in combat now. I'm very surprised by the not by how weak it is, but by how, I think it's just the overpowerment of guns on the field. But the Vickers isn't doing quite a lot of the damage as I thought it would. I thought it'd be doing far more work on the enemy than it is. It does a little bit of damage, but it's not enough. Like, we're losing troops way too quickly. I think that's just because the enemy has STG-44s. They're all Panzer Grenadiers, so they have a huge advantage. Machine guns firing in from the flanks. I think we do end up getting, yep, we get a Sexton. There we go. Sexton coming in. We're going to use that for our mid to late game opportunities. Armored car, we're going to go for a flank with the armored car. Very useful. Vehicle was a beautiful vehicle. Oh, we see a tank. Pretty sure I see a tank, but I decide, oh, you know what? Let's just get a pot shot at it, and then let's just reverse. Yeah, I think I try to get back to cover along the road. We do some damage to it, but again, not nearly as effective as I'd like it to be. Actually, we're trying to find a good placement spot. We end up placing it right on top of the anti-tank gun. We want to get rid of that as soon as possible, especially with that armored car still on the field. Now we're just going back for weapons. 2 Bren guns we decide, because the infantry are far more threat than any vehicle. It's a beautiful shot from the Sexton artillery tank. One thing you guys need to know with these artillery pieces is that the closer you get to the enemy, the more accurate the fire becomes. Obviously, the further away it gets, the more spread out the shots are. It depends what sort of effect you're going for, more accurate deadly fire or a longer range harassing fire. And they both can work well, very, very well in the situation. As you saw then, we took out that anti-tank gun with like 2 shots. Infantry building more of a defensive position around this location. We're getting a medic supplies to heal themselves. Still infantry out here, haven't touched them for the whole game. We're going to bring them back in to recapture that point. Might as well get use out of them. We've got an armoured car that's taking some serious damage. We're going to try to reverse it back out. I'm not sure if it survives or not. I'm pretty sure it survives. I'm pretty certain it survives actually. We're going to get that out. We're going to try to repair it with our engineers, I believe. We're trying to find them. Oh, they're at base. That's right. We're going to bring them up and try to heal the armored car. Again, guys, apologies for my micro. I'm very bad at this point with my micro. So we're getting flanked. I think they want to try to capture that point, but we're going to get our infantry on it first. This engagement here is terrible, and we end up losing the armored car, and engineers kind of just stop dead in the tracks, which is kind of annoying. I should probably just put a pathway on them to continue them going. We're losing machine gun units. We're losing a lot of units. Like I said, my micro is very bad, and we're losing a lot more units than we should be. That's a pretty big loss for us. We're just down to rifle squads, infantry, engineers, an anti-tank gun, 1 machine gun unit, and a Sexton artillery tank. This infantry engagement doesn't go well, and I'm confused as to why, but then I realize that the machine gun units have MP40s, and at that range they can dominate, which kind of confused me a little bit behind hard cover, but that makes sense to me now. And those rifle squads weren't particularly equipped with... They had one brain gun and one Piat, but that wasn't really enough to do damage at close quarters. Another armored car we're going to produce, I think. Yeah, we're going to go for it. We wanted to get tanks, but we couldn't really afford it right now, so I decided to get another armored car. I decided it's good for now. I think that's what I was thinking. Like, it'll do for now. We need that mobility. We lost mobility. We need it back. Engineers going to start building barbed wire. I think this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to make more funnels. Actually, I think we're just trying to cut off the start point entirely. I think that's the goal of this particular barbed wire defense. We're trying to cut it off completely. We want to get... We either want them to go all the way around, or we just want them to attack from the front. But I don't know why I did it that way. I should have made the barbed wire completely separate, because it ends up backfiring on us and funneling them into a side, which I don't like them funneling in from. So, yeah, you live, you learn. You try to practice new techniques, and if they don't work, you try again. Alrighty, so we're getting a more... like an upgrade to squads. We're going to get 5-man squads instead of 4. We decide that's important because, you know, infantry take a lot of damage. We want to have more guns in the fight than just the originals. Alright, we're pushing in. We're taking a lot of damage from that flak AA gun. Very unusual flak. We're used to seeing the 4-gun flak, but they're using the other one, which must be their commander's ability or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. Alright, going for regen for these units. We want to get the 5-man squad ability. We also want to get health from that fort assembly. We got a medic on the fort assembly trying to heal them up. Any tank gun still there. We're going to try to heal and then build another sandbag wall for hard cover for that AT gun. I think we end up getting another AT gun very, very soon. I think that's what's going to be happening shortly. So let's get some more. Another unit there. We're going to push them back up once that's done. Armored car getting in position. Alright, that's ready to go. Pushing them up to the start point. We're going to try to recap it. I think this is where we use our first coordinated artillery push. We're thinking about cutting off kind of reinforcement point right there. So we're using artillery in a very unique way, and I think this is an important thing to look at in this situation, is not to aim for the enemy, but to aim for the enemy's most likely entry point. And in fact, we end up killing a half-track that's located there, a flame half-track, if anything, which is just pure luck. I didn't know it was there before. I just pre-fired in that area to stop them from getting reinforced. Infantry's going to push up and take that Panzer unit out. They're going to retreat. We're going to cap the point. And that is how you use an effective artillery push. You want to try to cut them off where they're going to approach from, and then throw your units at the start point. So I can see that as a viable option in a multiplayer situation. If you're coordinating with the teammate, you can be like, hey, get your infantry ready. I've got a Sexton artillery tank ready to cut off enemy approaching or enemy counterattacks. Push up, take the position, make a defensive fortification and hold. But yeah, definitely something to keep in mind. As we can see now, we're getting flanked by 2 tanks, the Flak AA and the Stug 3, I believe. Thankfully, we have one of our veteran ranks on the AT gun to reload much, much faster. We're going to try to focus our efforts on that Stug. I think we end up killing it. That's our priority 1. Flak AA will be a second priority. We're getting hit by that Flak AA on our self-propelled artillery vehicle, artillery tank, whatever you want to call it. We're just trying to get Piats and all kinds of stuff to counter. We need to get them into that bunker area to kind of combat them. It's probably the best way to go about it. We lost the building, so we can no longer, unfortunately, put our machine gun in there. That's fine. AA tank's gone, Stug's gone. Now it's just the defense of the flank. And this is what I meant before when I said that barbed wire was a terrible idea, because what we ended up doing was causing them to funnel in from the right-hand side, which was mostly undefended that whole time. We've got another anti-tank gun pushing it up to the middle of the position. Engineers trying to provide some sort of fire to stop the other engineers from repairing their anti-tank gun. Push up. I think we end up repairing it. I think we wanted to go for it, but we don't end up picking it up. Too busy focusing on elsewhere. We're trying to find artillery targets. We have a few options. I think we end up putting it on the... Yeah, we try to cut them off while we cap the point. We want to make a cutoff point again. Very, very useful ability. very, very useful tactic with the artillery guns is to cut off routes that enemies, high traffic routes that people will use to get to a star point to counter-attack a takeover. And in this situation, very, very good. It allows me to stop the enemy from pushing that way and cap the point whilst also building defensive fortifications. We're going to repair it, I believe. I think that's what we're trying to do. We repair it and then try to get it, but we end up not getting it. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, so we build that trench there. We're pushing up our artillery piece, I believe, or facing it towards the enemy. We have a second artillery piece on the field now. We can use that to our advantage when a aggressive push comes along, delaying infantry and allowing us to retake, or hold the position rather. It's a very, very useful piece of equipment, and the great thing is it doesn't cost any munitions to use. Once you spend that initial payment for those artillery pieces, you just have to wait a cooldown time. That's all you have to do. Again, I don't know what I'm doing with this barbed wire. I ended up doing the same shit I did before, not realizing that was my first mistake. Yeah, don't ask why, but I did it anyway again. I guess I just wasn't thinking. I was like, oh, I need to get these guys to do something. Okay, so we're getting pushed by our first Panther. It just barges straight through, and there's a bit of a struggle with these anti-tank guns. I don't predict where it's going to drive. I end up just clicking them and right-clicking the tank, and the tank just keeps flanking around. But it gets stuck on this building here, and that's where we can do a lot of damage, punishing damage to it. If this was a online multiplayer game, that Panzer would not be in that situation. It'd be well and truly back. It would not push by itself, it'd push with infantry. Yeah. Again, AI is not a good placeholder for any sort of online representation at all. So reposition the guns, I guess, get them into a better position. So again, we see infantry flanking from the right. We decide to bunker down, but we're getting hit by grenades and all kinds of good shit. They destroy the barbed wire, and now they're going to push through that tiny little gap. For the rest of the game, they're going to be using that tiny little gap to get onto the star point. And it is a funnel, but it's not the right funnel I was looking for, especially with the machine gun on the field. It's not a very useful funnel at all. We're getting our artillery trucks, so we want to kind of stop them. We're going to bombard the shit out of the center there. And we're also going to put one just depth to stop any infantry from pushing up. We end up hitting... actually, no, we end up hitting the mortar back there. And then I think we put one on the flank there, stop them from going behind us. But... yeah, very, very interesting. I don't think I was going to do that, but I don't know how we end up losing a lot of infantry there. The engineers, as you just saw, I think that was just because of the mortar. But now we're just hitting positions that to our flank. We actually end up hitting our own building, but we don't end up destroying it, so it's completely fine. It just stops the enemy from being aggressive. Good delay tactics, if anything. And again, those self-propelled artillery trucks, not a problem at all. Or tanks, whatever you want to call them. They don't use any munition whatsoever. Very, very useful. We end up reversing our armored car under smoke. Make some more sandbag walls. Gonna use that as cover for our infantry. But again, just trying to repair stuff, get everything ready for another defensive hold or a retake. Artillery truck needs to get healed. I think I end up getting engineers up to heal the vehicle. Or back to heal the vehicle. We want to keep these in the fight for the whole game. We end up doing that. We don't end up losing a single artillery truck, and that's very, very useful for us. Very good command, very unique commander. It's a defensive, but it's also counter-offensive, if that makes sense. It delays enemies from pushing. It stops them from taking key points. You lay down a lot of coordinated fire. This is a sort of strategy or like commander strategy that you'd use in unison with a 4-man squad or a 4-man team. You can do a lot of damage and a lot of coordinated strikes with this unit, and a lot of counter attacks. You counter enemy pushes and all that kind of good stuff. Very, very useful. We've got the flares, which can be extremely useful online. I've seen these used before. These can literally make or break your team and can help them push and clear out units and not be afraid of taking star points if they see an opening. Very, very useful flares. And they cover up pretty much the whole map, really. Again, this is one of those commanders that you could really get your teeth into or get stuck into if you're working with it. Just even a single teammate. Even if you have just one friend, you guys are playing together. This is the sort of commander you'd want to use on the British team. And look at it, it is just fantastic. I spotted enemy locations, I laid down artillery, I even put some in their base, I'm pretty sure. Just to harass them, you know, just to delay the counterattack. Just trying to experiment with it, I think. And I think it's been a very eye-opening sort of opportunity, really, for my strategy gameplays in this game. So now we're reproducing, well, not reproducing, sorry, recovering from our artillery barrage. It's relatively quick too. It doesn't take too long at all. It's very timely. And if you wanted to as well, if there's like one specific point, you know, enemies come through, you could delay the barrage. You can do one barrage, right? Then once the barrage is complete, another barrage. Once it's complete, another barrage. You know, you can layer it out. You can time it out or space the artillery barrages out, so it can be consistent firing the whole game through if you really wanted to, obviously. Okay, so that's a bit of a tangent. Sorry about that. Back to the actual gameplay. As you can see, they've captured my my bunker, which is kind of annoying. I don't think you could take enemy bunkers, but maybe you can. I don't know. Apparently you can. We're pushing our infantry back up. We need to stop them from retaking it again. We're going to get Mills bombs, I think. We don't remember using it, but we got them just in case they try to recapture that trench. We're going to clear them out. I don't know why they left it. They should have just stayed in there. Could have won that fight. But I'm kind of worried. I got my finger over the unload section because they've got Panzerfaust, and 2 rockets are enough to destroy the trench right there and kill my unit. So I've just got it hovering over unload just in case that happens. But again, the AI not using the highest form of artificial intelligence, that's for sure. Building a more sandbag walls to protect that anti-tank gun. Getting our machine gun ready. We're going to put that into the entrenchment. I think we need our engineers to repair the entrenchment as well. I think that's what we're going for. If we can do that, then we'll be all Gucci. Infantry units built the entrenching position. Going to fortify it and jump into it to protect the self-propelled gun and the star point. Very good spot. Very good location to cover 2 sections of the map. Armored car still in the open. I decided to move it back because it's a bit exposed. I kind of want to get some level of cover or some area to hide behind. Again, we pop flares to try to see where everything is. We've got our artillery trucks who are ready to fire. We've got another set of artillery guns. All 3 are ready to fire, essentially. We're going to lay them out in areas I deem to be important. There's an enemy push coming, so we ended up layering over 3 different locations. 2 in the same sort of area, 1 in a star point protection location. Again, very effective at delaying infantry from pushing and taking the star objective. As you can see, this would stop any player from pushing through. As they can see, the amount of damage or dirt being flicked up on the ground, anyone would be afraid of pushing with that sort of cover behind them. Instead, they'd rather wait for the barrage to finish instead of risk losing troops. A lucky shot could be the difference between winning or losing a gunfight, so I can completely understand why no one would push including AI, why no one would push a artillery strike. I believe we're just trying to reposition. We're getting hit by mortars. We're trying to find a way to counter those mortars. I think you're going to end up sending an armored car. I'm not entirely sure, but again, like I said, my micro is very slow. I'm going to be repairing that fort assembly, try to get those medics back into the fight so they can heal our units actively on the start point. Armored car, not a really good fight to be in. I want to get it out of there ASAP, but at the same time I want to clear these units out since they're ignoring me. Again, they're going dangerously close to my vehicles, and at this point I'm very surprised that they're not doing what they're doing, you know. Like, I'm not surprised they're not attacking, they're just running around aimlessly. It's so confusing. They could have easily killed my armor car or killed that self-propelled artillery tank. If this was a human player, there'd be more than 1 unit, and they would probably achieve both of those tasks and kill both units, and leave me in a very terrible position. But yeah, I think we should probably play next time. I think I should do a video on an expert AI computer. I just wanted to do hard because I'm not sure if I do very well with this commander, but it turns out that very, very easy to use. All commanders are pretty easy to use. Here I go I've got the artillery abilities, and I'm just going to be stopping them from getting out of spawn. I don't know, I just thought it'd be a funny thing, just to see if it'll work or not, if it's a good delay tactic, and if I could do any damage to healing units, is what I was going for here. Sitting in the base, if you see that, you try to get your infantry out of the base and try to push it up into the actual battlefield. It can work 2 ways, really. Any retreating units will get hit on the way back, or while they're trying to heal, they'll get hit, and it'll just take even longer for them to regenerate. Again, there we go. One good shot took out a unit's health. They're going to have to repair, heal, all kinds of annoying shit. Run an extensively huge amount of resources. With the 92 pop, we can't really use it, but it's just good to have that resource in case of the retake and they end up taking our points back. We have a lot of manpower to afford a counter attack. So we're getting attacked, pushed by it now. I believe that's a Panther, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it's a Panzer. I can't remember. Hey, I couldn't really tell. Too far in and out. Yes, it's a Panther, as I thought first. It's doing the same thing it did before, running right in the middle, but unfortunately the anti-tank gun stops it from continuing on and gets stuck again. Another easy kill on the Panther. Repositioning our guns now back to the flanks. We've got a few units still not being used. I think we've got a push coming from the right-hand side. Again, we know what's going to happen because of this terrible barbed wire placement that I did. I don't know why I did it, but, you know, whatever. It is what it is. You're learning from mistakes. Again, artillery bombardment on this position. It was a commander's artillery bombardment, so that did use our munitions, but it was enough to push them away from that area. Again, we've got our armored car providing flanking support. Very, very useful. Very annoying, harassing fire. Okay, this would piss anyone off in a situation. They're pushing an objective and then all of a sudden an armored car flies out of nowhere and flanks them. Very, very annoying. Now, it's happened to me a lot of times versing Germans. SDKFZs, you name it. Coming from the flanks. Looks like tanks. Very, very annoying. We're going to follow them up. I think we just want to clear out these engineers. We want to stop them from being effective, combat effective. We want to send them back to base. I think we just end up playing with them here. I try to run them over, but man, these engineers are quick. I don't get the right angle, and I don't end up running them over, but I just stop them from doing anything, just messing around with the pathways of this particular unit. Mortar team out to the right-hand side. I think we try to go for we try to hit it with the, yeah we do, we try to go for the long-range bombardment, just to harass and annoy them. Again, we have the abilities. We're going to cut off enemy, likely approach locations. One in the base, just for good measure. We're just going to kind of annoy them and force them down. Again, you could use this as a funnel. Like I've said before, you could use this as a way to divert infantry to go through specific areas. And if you have a machine gun unit waiting or a tank waiting in those areas, it's a great way. That was a beautiful, sorry to cut myself off, that was a beautiful placement of that artillery bombardment. And that's the risk people face, okay? If there's an artillery bombardment and they risk going through it, that could happen. They could lose the whole squad and they'll be forced to retreat. See, that guy was full squad, 4-man squad, boom, straight down to 2 and no health. That's the difference it can make between winning a gunfight and losing completely. It's just one artillery shell. Just thought I'd highlight that out. I think that's a very important point to remember. Never push in an artillery barrage. Always, always go around a different route, if it's safe to do so. Again, the funnel is not really helping me out here. I've kind of did myself in a bad position. My UI, my infantry units are finding a very hard time to find a good spot to stand behind, and not putting them back to where they were before. Artillery trucks replenishing their ammunition, ready for another barrage. They're going for the capture point they need to. They're on 8 points. We're in a massive, massive lead. This is really the best lead I've ever had in this game, to be quite honest. Probably a lot better than my advanced replacement regiment style of playing. Here we go, Panzer pushing up. They're going to attack. We pop smoke, cover our retreat. We don't want them blind firing or shooting into our general direction. There's Panzer units there. We don't end up losing this tank for some reason. I don't know why they don't finish them off there. I think they're more concerned with the star point than they are with the vehicle, which is their mistake. We end up recapturing that star point, and it's pretty much GG at this point, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Yeah, very, very, very big lead win. There we go, there's the victory. Couple things I want to cover up, just wrap up the video, guys. This is honestly probably one of the most fun I've ever had. One of the most fun gameplays I've ever had with the British factions in a 1v1 versus CPU. It was just really interesting and exciting to learn this new style of playing them, or just to practice in this new style. If you guys are British players and you guys really want to get better at them, I do recommend you try out just practicing one commander at the start, and then practicing others. A lot of the tactics I used in this were ripped straight out of my previous build order tactics and all kinds of good stuff. But yeah, definitely something to keep in mind, guys. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. Please let me know in the comments down below if you guys want to see more of these kinds of videos where I try out new commanders and all that. But yeah, apart from that, guys, yeah, have a great day, and thank you guys so much for watching. Alright, see yous.